Namaste, everybody, and I hope you're having a very happy whatever day it is you are watching this. I know I am long overdue. It's been a minute and a half since I've actually made a video, but I have been navigating a lot on my own life path. I've been traveling quite a bit. I was back on the beautiful sacred lands of Egypt. Um, and yes, this being the year of the Master 2025. I know it is the breaking down of, I want to say cylinders. It's like the busting out of these cylinders for everybody. And so whenever you break out of a cylinder, really think of it like, one of these time traveling cylinders that they have in like Star Trek where you stand inside and like beam me up, Scotty. When you think of breaking out of the cylinder, as soon as you step out, there's all these different aspects of yourself that you really have to come face to face with. And a big part of not just, I want to say, my spiritual journey on this path, but obviously humanity's is what many people refer to as the shadow self, the shadow work. And the way I look at that is I very much look at that as projection of the ego. Because the shadow is where the trauma lies. That's where everything that you have walked through in this life, but also in all your other lives, that's where it's programmed into your DNA. So whether you refer to this as your kind of cosmic blueprint or your software, because every time we come here, when we come into the earth plane and our soul takes a body, we already come with things already programmed into us. I've said this before, much like when you buy a computer and it has, Google Chrome built into it, it has things like that. So when the astral soul takes the body, we come here with things programmed into us, but also included in that are past life memories from other lives that we've lived. And then, of course, when you take the body, we pass through like that layer, and I always call this the silver lining. You pass through the silver lining and you come into the human body and you take that first breath, and then you start living, growing as a baby and onwards and upwards. The minute you're born, um, you're already what's the word, congruing, if you will, karma, because everything you do, you can't have a human experience and not have experiences with other humans. So you're constantly building that karma. It's not to say karma's bad or good, karma just is, but you can exert that energy in a negative or positive way. Much like there's no such thing as good energy or bad energy, there's just energy. And it's up to you how you choose to express your energy. You can choose to express it negatively, and then the vibration of hate, speaking words of poison about people, projecting your ego onto people. That is using energy in a negative form. Or you can do it in that place of keeping your heart open and expressing it in the form of love, not judging others, just holding that space of love for others and transmuting certain experiences when you learn that absolutely nothing is about you and not to take anything personally. So as we come into the bodies and we have this energy to play with, and we ultimately have free will, so we can do whatever journey we choose to do as our journey. Your life is not about someone else. It's not. It doesn't mean you don't love and you don't keep your heart open. Of course you do, but your life is your life, and someone else's life is their life. And there's no two people on earth that could possibly have identical experiences. There is not, unless you're literally jumping from one body to the next. What your body is made up of, your DNA, everything that's programmed into you. Think about how unique and specific you are. All of your past experiences, those past lives, and then coming back into this body with the software already programmed and having this walk in your body, you are going to experience things your way. Someone else may have a similar experience, but they've never, ever been in your body and all those other bodies that you've worn. So there's no such thing as someone saying, I had the exact same experience. It's simply not possible. So what you experience is yours because you're wearing your body. You're going by the name right now that you're going by. And by the way, it's the only time you'll wear this body and go by this name. That's why you have to cherish it and be kind to it and be good to it. But there's other people that may have similar experiences, but they're never going to have your experience. This is also why I do hammer on a lot in a lot of my talks and videos on do not speak words of poison about someone. Don't do it. It is venomous. It is evil. Because when you do, you cloud someone's judgment of someone else. I think we've all had the evil eye. We've all had the evil eye. We've all had people out there that have wanting to attack us. And not because of us, but because of themselves, like the brokenness and the trauma inside of them. Because when you are standing in your light, and I want to say your power, but I don't want you to think of like in the literal sense, but standing in your power is standing in all that you are and really opening yourself up to being completely seen, all of your vulnerability, everything that you are. And when you do that, it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to look at the broken parts of yourself and the trauma and say, okay, well, that's me too. It's not to say I'm stuck in this. You're never stuck in anything because energy has to move, but it's there. And so looking at that allows you to acknowledge it, to be seen for that, and to then move through that. There's no human on earth that doesn't have a shadow self because we're always working through things, always. And I don't care if you meet anybody and they say, oh, I'm a light warrior, or I'm a this, they still have a shadow self. Trust me, I've seen it. I've met many people, especially in a community I'm in, who think that they are completely of the light, but then they do things that I'm like, that's very much of the dark. That is your trauma speaking, and that's your shadow self. So just know there is no one better than you. There is no one above you. There's no one that has all the answers. You have to trust your instincts. You have to trust your soul. You have to trust what's inside of you. Don't listen to gossip, and don't listen to other people projecting their egos about anybody else. Trust me, I've experienced it, because I will stand in my light. I will stand in my power. And I'm the first to say, yes, I am a spiritual being having a human experience, but I'm not perfect. I mean, I am, because everybody's perfect in the eyes of God. We're all perfect, but we're all going to make, I don't really like to say mistakes, but I think for the human mind to get it, we're all going to fall off the bike. Is falling off the bike a mistake? No, because you have to do that to learn how to ride the bike. So things happen all the time. Detours happen. You get nudged in a different direction. You will, have a fight with someone. It doesn't mean that you always comport yourself correctly, but if you can learn from it and turn all of that into wisdom, then you are taking the walk of the light one. You are. As long as you can look at it and say, okay, I learned from that and I can do better when it comes to that. But don't fall into the 3D version of your old self with blame, 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 judge, 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 hate, hate, hate. That's a terrible path to take, a terrible path to take. So I know many of you are like, well, these terms get thrown around a lot, like projection of the ego and shadow self. So many of you know that my daughter died 7.5 years ago. So the trauma that I went through and the absolute heartbreak, and I mean, I was in the valley of death for minimum 2 years with that. And I did not think I was going to make it. I did not think I was going to crawl out of that. So I would look at that and I would say, okay, that would be part of my shadow self. That is trauma and that stuff that was very hard for me. And being a naturally optimistic person, I've always been, everybody's best cheerleader and like, you can do anything. I've always naturally been like that. So to have something like that happen, I didn't understand. I really didn't understand, because in my mind at the time, I was like, why would God take my child? Why would God take my child? I could not wrap my head around it. And then all I kept thinking was, why not take me? Just take me instead. I've had a beautiful life. Yes, I've had my hardships, but I've had a beautiful life up until this point. Just take me. I couldn't understand, even though my spiritual foundation, I've known for a very, very long time that we choose our parents, we choose our body, we choose our friends, we choose the relationships. All of that is picked prior to stepping in. So there was a soul agreement of my daughter staying for such a short time and then leaving. And there was a soul agreement on my part of being her mother and bring the portal that brings her through, and her father, my husband. But still, when you're going through it in the human body, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And you feel like no one can understand your pain. No one. The only other people I felt could understand my pain were other mothers who had also buried their children. That was it. Not if your mom had died or your dad had died or your grandmother. No, because you feel like a part of your insides is missing. Like you physically feel my ribs, my heart is missing. And it's a terrible feeling, terrible. But the only way for me, and just that's personally me, because I'm going to do me, I'm not going to do the same as everybody else. Everybody's going to do them. I had to surrender. I had to. I knew the only way of me to even deal with this is just to surrender to the pain, to totally surrender to it, not run from it, not hide from it, totally surrender. And actually, what I did at the time was I took to doing video blogs, and I would post on my Facebook page, which I rarely use these days, but I would post on my page and talk about my journey of going through this in like the worst moments. Because I was like, I feel like I need to be transparent in how broken I am. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend that it's not okay. Like it's okay to be broken. It's okay to be in those moments and feel like I'm in the depths of hell. It's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to talk about that and to share that, because when you do that, you are surrendering. You're surrendering to that absolute moment. And the biggest thing that that taught me, it taught me that God exists in those moments. God exists in your worst moments. Those moments that you go, there is no God, that's when God exists the most. And I know it's hard, but God does exist in those moments. And whether you believe in God or you believe in source or you believe in nothing, maybe you believe in all of the gods, there is no, I'm picking one over the other. There's not. There's not, you're more special than you. There is not. The sun does not shine differently on every single person. The sun rises in the morning and it shines the exact same on everybody. There's not one picked over another. And why do I say that? I say that because there's no one in a human body that is higher over you, that is more enlightened than you, that is in charge, that is more of the guru. There is not, because God doesn't do that. So make sure you don't do that. Make sure you don't feel like you're better than another, that no, I have to shine the light on this one, and I have to, I'm going to be that one. First off, you are sitting in the throne of God and you are not God, even though we are all an infinite expression of God. But you do not sit on a throne and judge another. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You will have to face that when you leave your body and when you go back. You will. You'll have to face judging another and what you did to another. So don't do it. When the sun shines the same on every single person, that means that God does not pluck from the garden one person and not another. It's simply not done. We are all here specifically to create our own path, to walk our own journey. And in the end, when we leave our physical bodies and we go back to the other side, we will go through the life review and we will have to watch, and not just watch, we will feel every single thing that we were a party to, everything. We will see how we hurt other people. We will see what we've done intentionally to hurt other people. And we will feel other people's pain. We will all do that. That's why I'm so big on the 4 agreements. Do not gossip about someone to someone else. And don't think you're being, well, because it's very righteous to be, well, I'm a light warrior, so I'm going to shine the light on this person. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is judgment. And actually, you're doing the opposite of being light. Blame is a word that should never enter your vocabulary. It should not. You cannot blame another for the way they live their life. You can't blame another for the way they live their life, because people are going to people. People are going to choose how they want to live their life. Now, if you're in relationship with someone whether it is romantic or whether it is friendship, whether it's family. If you're in relationship with anybody, you're in relationship with yourself. So when you're in relationship with someone, what this means is everybody is there as a mirror, and everyone there is there as a reflection of where you're at on your journey. So if something happens and you get an upset by it, you first have to say, what is that upset about? Because it's obviously nothing to do with that person. Even if that person comes with you at you with a knife, I'm telling you, it's not about that person. It's about you. So if you have an upset with something, it means number one, you either have your own expectations on someone else, which you should never do. Never do. Never have expectations on anybody, because everybody will always let you down. If you have expectations on someone, that means you are judging someone. That means you are taking the throne of God, which you should not do. And two, if something arises and it causes an upset within you, the first thing to do is nothing. Take a look at the upset. What is that? What is that inside of me that is reacting that way to this? Because more than likely, it is a projection of your ego, because there's unhealed trauma there. There's unhealed trauma. So instead of like attacking that person, sit back and stop listening to that yapper in your brain and say, okay, so there's something about this that's bringing up something within me. It's very easy in a human body to judge. It's very easy to say, well, I wouldn't have done that. Well, of course you wouldn't have done that, because you're you. You're the only you in existence. No one else is going to do something the way you do it. But everybody has to take responsibility for themselves, for themselves. You have to take responsibility for your feelings, for your trauma, and for your shadow self. And if you're not willing to look at your shadow self, to look at that trauma, you are not walking the spiritual path. I promise you, you're not a light being. You're not a light warrior. Yes, of course, you're still a soul. But what you've actually chosen instead is to shut your heart, is to shut your heart. The minute you turn on someone or you've attacked someone verbally, energetically, anytime you do that, you have shut your heart down. You've closed your heart. The vibration of love is so much better than the vibration of hate. When you open your heart, that feeling of love can transmute and transform anything, anything. And I know people get very human and they go, well, I'm annoyed at this person because da da da. I get it. I understand. But how about just sitting into your heart and saying, well, they have trauma that they haven't dealt with, and they're not ready to deal with it. And they don't want people to actually see them, because they don't want people to think of them as broken. It's one of the biggest problems we have in this world, is so many people don't want to show who they are. They don't want to show that they're broken, because they don't want people to see them like that. But I will tell you, if you are perfect, you're not relatable. If you are perfect, my dog is saying an aho on that right now. If you think you are perfect, no one can relate to you. No one can relate to you. Because yes, you are perfect in nature. There was no mistakes in bringing you here, but also you will always have something to work on. And if you are projecting your ego onto someone else, then you have trauma, and you have not yet looked into that and said, okay, that exists here. That exists here. I recently had an ego, someone projecting their ego onto me, a couple of people actually. And I knew immediately what it was. And they did not like certain things, certain ways I was living my life, or things I was choosing in my life. And so instead of sitting into it and taking a look at, okay, well, if I am reacting like this and I'm feeling this, like, what is this about? Instead, they chose the path of hate, and they chose the path of evil. That's when I say the evil eye. And we've all had the evil eye. They chose the path of bringing the evil eye at me. Now, I'm aware of it because I can see it. And I won't ever, I've been on this journey for a while that I can see that, and I can clock it very quickly. And I know I'm not going to lower into that place of shutting down my heart. And I'm not going to get into a place of hate and attacking and speaking words of evil. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to transmute this and step into the place of love. And I'm going to stay in that frequency because I choose love. I choose love. And there are days when, of course, it can be hard, even with my daughter's death, where I was like, I don't know how to be love right now because I'm hurting so badly. I don't know how to be love right now. But then I would pick things like, just take a walk, Nat, just take a walk. Just like look at the trees, look at the flowers, like look at things around, just try and be in the space of absolute presence. Because when you get so present in this moment, you begin to remember that the only thing that exists is this moment. And if I can open my heart up in that space of love in this moment, I can change my path. I can change my timeline. I can bring the light back. Love will transcend everything. You know, Michael Singer in his book, The Untethered Soul, has this beautiful story about opening your heart. And he says, if you've been in a romantic relationship with someone and say they ended it with you, broke your heart, off they went, and suddenly you feel just broken and sad, it's because your heart shut down because you're angry. You're angry at them. Your heart shut down. So you've closed your heart completely. There's a reason why this is a chakra. And then, you know, like 3 months go by and you're just in this energy and you're pretending that you're okay, but you're not. And then 3 months later, all of a sudden, say she calls you one day and she says, or he says, all of a sudden, I made a mistake. Can I meet with you? And then they come meet with you and say, I want you back. And I'm so sorry. And I can't live my life without you. And I want to be with you. And all of a sudden you feel that love just pouring back in and that joy just pouring back in. You know why? Because you opened your heart again. You opened your heart. And think of how good that feels. It feels so good when you open your heart and you go, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. But what causes the heart to close down is when the ego wants to step in. The ego, a week later, will be like, well, they hurt me and they did this and they did that. It's your ego. Then the ego starts to shut the heart down. And then you start hearing voices in your head. I'm telling you, you hear voices in your head telling you, well, this is how it went. And I know I'm in the right because of this and da-da-da. And like this person did this. And I know I'm right because of this. The ego starts to go crazy unless you are aware of it and say, okay, that's not real. This is what is real. This is what Yeshua was here trying to teach. This is what a lot of the great teachers were here trying to embed upon us, is that when you come back into your heart and you open your heart and you say, even Yeshua said, I forgive them, for they do not know what they do. They can only do the best of where they're at. And who am I to judge them and hate them and try and destroy them for doing the best for where they are at? And that's when we have to come back and take a look at ourselves. I'm telling you, the human journey is about us. It's about everything that we are and looking into every single aspect of ourselves. Don't ever jump on board a hate wagon. Don't. I know we're in a time right now where everyone has a YouTube channel and everyone's like, oh, you got to hate this person and that person. You got to hate this side and da-da. It's just judgment, judgment, judgment. And I'm telling you, it's set up that way. Like, ignore all of it and come back into yourself and do what feels good from the heart, not getting into somebody else's body. Because remember, when someone is projecting their ego or where they're coming from that place of unhealed trauma, if you go into agreement with them, you're enabling them to stay in that trauma. That's not fair and it's not right. So maybe you can just say that's very interesting that they feel like they want to attack that person or they want to hate on that person. They obviously have stuff within themselves they need to work on. And I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge anybody, but I'm just going to come back into my heart space and I'm just going to hold love for everybody. It's the best thing to do. I do highly recommend, by the way, reading The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, because it is such a brilliant book. Every kind of like 7 to 8 years, I will go back to it. So you say in this moment, well, what does one do at this time in 2025, the year of the master? The cylinder is going to crack, my friends. The cylinder is going to crack. And if it hasn't already, it will. And you will be forced to look at yourself. And it may not happen right now, it may happen later on, but you will at some point be made to look in the mirror and look at yourself. And you'll be made to look at how you treated others. You'll be made to look at, did I do my best? Did I comport myself? Did I come from a place of love? You will be made to look at everything. And the biggest thing you need to do is you need to take responsibility for yourself. You need to take accountability for yourself. Because when you do that, there is a freedom to that. When you do that, you do set yourself free. And when you come into that space and you don't jump on the bandwagons of gossip and third party and all of that, because remember, that's poison. When you say bad things about people, it's venomous. It's venomous. And you are actually putting that into the universal field. But at the end of the day, and I've talked about this before, at the end of the day, it will only come back to you. It will always come back to you. So even if someone is doing it about you, why participate? Why? It's only going to lower your vibration. Don't participate. You just say, okay. And then on you go. You transmute it and you stay in that place of love. So in this time of the light arising, the light can only arise on the planet if it's lifting in you. And when the light lifts, the shadow has to live. It's duality, right? We live in this world of duality. We have to have this, always this perfect balance in the universe. So if the light is rising on the planet, it's only rising because it's rising in people's selves. But at the same time, the shadow self is going to rise. You can't ignore it. You can't pretend it's not there. You rise in the light and your shadow rises and you acknowledge it. You say, okay, it's there. That's okay. That's okay. Is there anything in it that I still need to work on? And whenever the universe delivers, because the universe always delivers, that's the beauty of the universe. Every single thing happens for a reason. Everything. There are no mistakes. There are no coincidences. It happens for a reason. Now, are you going to hold yourself in the third dimension and start blaming things that happen that, by the way, you had no control over? It happened because it was meant to go like that. Or are you going to step back in the place of the observer and be like, okay, so there's a detour here. This is interesting. This is presenting itself. So I guess I'm supposed to go in that direction. Okay, I'm going to trust the path. I'm going to trust the detour. And everybody involved in that has to trust it. You have to. That is why the universe is set up the way it's set up. And if you are a good human being, and you lead your life with intention and good intentions, and you lead your life in the place of love. And what you do, you're doing not out of hate and destruction, but out of being in that place of love and knowing this is your journey. Everything will always work out for your greatest good, for the lessons that you need to learn, for your experience. When you have an experience that you don't necessarily like in the moment, why get angry about it? Why hate? Why blame? Why go into that vibration over it? Why? If it's to help you, if it's ultimately to help you grow and to help you gain more wisdom and be an overall much more beautiful soul, why get angry at it? And why not bless the teachers on the path that were there to help you expand? You have to look at everything like it is a lesson and a blessing, because it is. It is. Otherwise, you're going to cause self-suffering. You're going to cause self-torture and self-suffering. Everything that happens to you is meant to happen to you. I know you go, oh, there's so many terrible things that have happened, but that's your perspective. You're looking at it like that. If there's no such thing as bad energy, it's just how you choose to emit it, then you're seeing it as bad. Why not look at it and say, that's interesting. Interesting that happened because I didn't really want that, but it has to be for my greatest good. So now I'm going to take it and say, okay, I might not know the lesson in the moment because we don't always know why we're in the class until we graduate, right? So why not say, okay, I'm just going to sit in this and I'm going to see how this feels. Keeping in mind, you do nothing in your life for anybody else. Everything you do in your life is for you. I don't care if you're like, no, I did this for someone else. You didn't. Your soul did it because it was something in it that you needed to learn. Period. Period. Even if you're like, well, no, I drove to the house and did that. Yeah, but your soul needed to do that. Your soul needed to do that because it was something in it that you needed to learn. To learn. Everything happens exactly as it should. And if you're getting angry at someone about it, that means you're getting angry at God. And that's what I did when my daughter died. I got angry at God. I got angry at all my spirit guides, everybody that I work with on my high council. I was so angry at them until I surrendered to the dark. And I walked through the valley of death. And I did. I saw piercing holes of light again. And I was like, is that where it's at? If I just keep going in that direction, will I get there? If I just put one foot in front of the other, will I make it there? And I did. But here's the rub. The pain never goes away. I walk alongside my daughter every day. It doesn't mean I don't feel the pain. It doesn't mean there's mornings I don't get up. Whew, it's making me emotional. It doesn't mean there's mornings I don't get up and I don't feel like how much I miss her. Because I do. I miss her every day. But I don't blame anymore. And I don't look at it like this was awful and this was terrible. It wasn't. I got to have the blessing and the honor of growing my daughter inside of me and birthing her and holding her and falling in love with her. I got to have that. I got to have that. And that is a blessing. And of course, I miss her physical presence, but like one of my best friends, Star, said yesterday, she's doing cartwheels around you every day. And she is. She is. So if we can get to that place of absolute surrender, surrendering into it, but walking alongside it, acknowledging it, and saying, you know what? I'm still going to choose the light and I'm going to choose the love. That's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. Doesn't mean I'm not going to encounter times where I'm going to meet mean people or hateful people. Trust me, I've met them. You know, I opened a spiritual center. There's like, you know, when you stand in who you are, there's people that are going to attack you because it's going to hit their trauma and they don't like it and they're not ready to look at that. But why are we here? Why are we here if not to look at that inside ourselves? And the more we shine our light and the more we say, yes, this exists and this is who I am, the more relatable we are to others. And then more others can say, oh my God, you too? Okay, I'm not alone in this. And isn't that what we want? Don't we want others to feel not so alone? Don't we want others to feel, take my hand too, I've got you? Like, come stand with me. I've walked this path and you're walking that path. And I know that pain. And I'm not in your body, so I'll never feel it the same, but at least I can take your hand. That's what I'm here for. I am here to do that. I'm here to extend my hand and take people's hands. Doesn't matter how broken they are, as long as they're willing to look at it and say, I'm not going to project this. And I'm not going to get on my way to hurt people or be mean. Instead, I'm going to stand in it and say, I'm not okay in this moment, but I think I'll be okay down the line. I think maybe the light will shine again. And if I can just know that other people too are walking a path like this, then maybe there's hope for me, because there always is. There always is. And when we do that, that's when the true light shines. Not when the pretend, I'm all light and love, and then behind the scenes you're gossiping about people and da-da. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It's not the truth and it's not who you are. But when you step into it and you look at that and you allow yourself to truly be seen for everything that you are, I'm telling you, the light emanates. The light emanates. And that's when the light on the planet starts to rise. We have to see the dark in order to bring the light. And we have the light in order to see the dark. And they work hand in hand. And the dark isn't always terrible. When we go outside in the dark, don't we see the most beautiful stars lit up in the sky? We'd never see that if we had daylight every day, right? There's so much beauty in the dark, and there's so much to see in the dark, to revel and to sit in. That's why you have to embrace the dark too, and look at it and find the beauty in it, and take that and then embrace the light. This is duality, my friends. This is the year of the master. Embrace all of it and trust that everything that has happened to you happened for a reason. You are right on time. You're right on time. And by the way, you agreed to it because you wanted that expansion. Don't blame your teachers. Don't blame your lovers. Don't blame your enemies. Don't blame your friends. Accept responsibility for your expansion and love only. Love is the only thing. I promise you. Come back to love and open your heart. You have got this. I love you, and it's great to be with you again. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Namaste.